Detective Comics 1092, Tom Taylor writing with MIKEL JANÍN on the art. So, the teenager get murdered. That was kind of the cliffhanger. Is the villain got to the teenager last issue.
Kai goes by.
Kai goes there. Very good. So that's kind of where we pick up here, is that we sort of see not the murder itself, but just a little bit of the scares leading up to it, and then
this character is very creepy. The I forget. We know she's got a Sama. Very very creepy the way that Yanin draws them. Almost like the darkest version of Catwoman. So I appreciated seeing that. Little bits and pieces.
Yeah. But meanwhile, Batman is testing his new body strength and speed. He's testing what his abilities are like. Damien is basically agreeing, yeah, you're faster, you're this, you're that. And when they're looking at, actually, I think it's later when they mention this, but like when they're looking at what they gave him, they're like, there's some like teenage cells in here. So it's kind of like feeding into what we were saying last issue, but okay, clearly some of this is coming from these teenagers who are being killed, and that's going to be playing out here. That said, though, a big part of this issue is kind of really, I don't know if it's trying to like divert us from the truth here, because on the one hand I thought, oh, is it trying to make us sympathize with the doctor lady so that we don't think it's her? But at the same time, they also show us that she can fight, which makes me think, even if she doesn't seem like she's evil right now, it feels like it's setting us up for the fall where it's going to hit harder, because no, it is her. She is killing teenagers. But it wouldn't be surprising to me if she's not the one who's actually going out and killing them, and she doesn't know where the blood's coming from. She's just, if anything, her being able to fight is almost like trying to make us think it's her, so that we'll be surprised later when the real villain in the company shows up.
It's not really a red herring, but it's like an anti-red herring, where it's like, hey, look, it might be her, and then that's the swerve, is that it's not her.
Still very much a red herring, regardless of which direction. But yeah.
So I'm not sure if that was the right, because I thought isn't a red herring something where it's not like it's anyway.
I mean, the whole point of a red herring is to make you question if or not, right?
Gotcha.
So it doesn't really matter if it's trying to make you lean this way or that way. If it's trying to lead you from something that's not the conclusion, it's a red herring, regardless of which direction each information is going in.
So I'm wondering if this is like a Jekyll Hyde scenario too. Then it might be her, but it's a different, because we are playing with genetics and this, that, and the other, and so maybe she's being manipulated, and that's why she can fight, or whatnot. But yeah.
So Batman and Robin hear about the death of the teenager. They go to the hotel room where he died, where Robin put him to be safe. So Robin's feeling pretty guilty about this, which is probably one of my favorite little beats here, actually, is that when they hear that there's some like investigators who come in the room that they don't know who they are, what organization they're from, Batman thinks to himself, oh, like there's a lot of like stealthy ways or indirect ways that we could get information from these guys and find out who they are, but this is kind of a big deal. My son's like in pain right now because he feels guilty. We're not doing this indirectly. We're just going to go out and ask them. So yeah, they go out and beat them up a little bit, because when the guys do pull guns on them, it's not like they just beat them up for the fun of it. And they scan the ID so Oracle can look into it and whatnot.
I love that Oracle's like, make sure you give him back those IDs so it doesn't look like Batman, mugged a guy. That was pretty funny.
But the big thing, though, is that the symbol on their badge is a grail, and the drug he was given was the Sangreal, so it's like there's like an obvious link there, which Oracle later on does say, could that just be a coincidence? And he's like, well, we have to rule it out, but like, we'll see. And then much of the issue, though, is Batman going on a date with this pink-haired doctor lady. Where she's kind of trying to like pry at his next appointment, where she's saying, oh, you're feeling better, you're doing this, she's checking him up, and he starts asking questions, and she gets kind of like nervous and sort of whispers that he shouldn't be asking this, which is maybe, I guess, like possibly another red herring, but this is the implication that, oh no, there's like powers that be at the company who are more dangerous, who are probably doing the bad things. But again, that could also be just to like make it feel harder when she's the one that turns out to be evil. Yeah, they go on a date. Seem to kind of hit it off. She goes a little bit cold when he starts talking about his mother. Or talking about her mother rather when when he says, hey, why can't you give your mother who's sick like some of this stuff, and she's like, oh no I can't, and she gets kind of cold and leaves, but then two guys try to mug them outside, and this is where we find out she can fight because she starts beating them up, and it leads to an impassioned moment. Tensions are high, they kiss, they're back at her place, they've had sex. But he steals data off her laptop for Oracle to go snooping in.
I kind of like Dirtbag Bruce, you know?
Well, to be fair, I don't think he intentionally, because he even says as he's kissing her, this is a mistake, but he's fallen, he's in the moment, he's fallen for it. But it's not like he does this all with the intention of just stealing her data. It's just the opportunity presents itself.
No, but it's still not exactly ethical. So I kind of,
no, I wasn't trying to argue it was ethical, just that it wasn't predetermined. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying he's kind of a dirtbag, and I love it. Like I like when, again, I've said this a bunch. It's a refrain I always have. Is I like when Batman is fallible, and here him giving into these instincts, and we all know this is. Well, we all think this is Joe Chill's daughter, right? That's where the story started.
That's what we're leading to right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't know this though, right? Like, he just knows this is a lady who's, his mom helped out her mom get out of a bad situation, and so, the fact that they end up sleeping together, and he's like, oh, her laptop's open? This is my opportunity, I enjoy that.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think if she's pregnant now, there's no indication of that, but let's just say she got pregnant now. Bruce would have a son whose grandfather is Joe Chill.
But again, I think there might be another swerve too that might not be Joe Chill's kid.
Oh yeah.
Right?
We've made that leap, but that could really turn out to be any woman of this age.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, even if she was in that scenario, he wasn't the actual father. Martha and Thomas still getting her out of that situation is still a net positive for this kid. So. I think there's a lot of open interpretation, because I saw a lot of pushback. Some people were upset that, Batman sleeping with Joe Chill's daughter. This is what, they always have an axe to grind with Tom Taylor. And it's just like, well, if you're reading the story, there is a bit of that intrigue here. Well, right? Hold on. But that's why you read the whole story.
Hold on, though. Even if all of that is absolutely true and there's no swerves, he doesn't know it's Joe Chill's daughter.
Right.
That's important to note here, is that he does not know who he's with right now. He's just seen a woman be capable. We know he likes women that can fight because he's into Selena, right? Although wait until Selena hears about this, she's going to be pissed. Right?
Let's just say there's going to be a lot more Sangreal blood. Not
that they're in necessarily a super normal exclusive relationship right now. It's like, the kind of, it's complicated to go by Facebook relationship status standards.
Yeah, we needed a multiplier on that.
There's layers of complication. Honestly, though, my favorite part of the whole thing is afterwards, where he's like, "Hey, I got this information off her private computer," and both Damien and Oracle are like, "And how did you get access to that? What is this? Some kind of cover-up, team-up? What's happening here?" So them poking fun at him when he's trying to be all grim in the Batman suit is funny to me. Like, because his family members, like, not taking him seriously for the funds is always enjoyable to me. But yeah, basically though, the damning evidence here is that she's been emailing the company that hired the security team, which doesn't look good, because it makes it look like she's hiring people to go after these various teenagers. Now, again, we're early in the story. This definitely feels like it's something that's going to be more of a red herring than a direct thing. But, we'll see.
Yeah, and all these kids came from the Faultless Juvenile Detention Center.
Yes.
And that's who, she's been emailing as well. So, because Oracle
that's who she was emailing,
Yeah, well, no, but LXR is tied in with them, right? With the Faultless Juvenile Descent or whatever. But Oracle can only read the to and the from. It's encrypted so heavily that she hasn't cracked the body of there. So, who knows exactly, too. So there's still a lot of mystery surrounding this. There's a lot to play out still, which, again, I like for a book called Detective Comics, right? I like that it's keeping us on our toes.
Yeah. No, I mean, this was a solid issue. It's definitely a middle chapter. I think it focusing so heavily on Bruce and what's her name?
Scarlet.
Scarlet Martha Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. SMS.
Mm-hmm. Like the text message.
Yes. That's what I was going for.
Well, that's how I remembered it this time around.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just have to try and remember Scarlet. Joe's annoying. Like if her hair was red, I'd be like Scarlet.
But instead it's fuchsia, which doesn't match.
Yeah, her hair doesn't match the name. Bizarrely. Not that everyone's hair color should match their name. That'd be ludicrous. Yeah. But if she's but her name's a color. You see, that's my problem.
That said, there's a picture of Connor with Red Hood, and we call him Ginge all the time. So sometimes art imitates life, and vice versa.
Yeah, I think it was wise to spend time with this character because she'd been introduced, but we hadn't really developed her that much. Mm-hmm. This added some intrigue. It kind of made her potentially likable. The subject of her mother coming up and it being something that she doesn't want to talk about is interesting, given that all we really know about her mother, potentially, assuming she is exactly who we think, and given that her middle name is Martha, it seems quite likely. All we know about her mother was what the story was with her, with the Waynes. It was the getting away from Joe Chill. It was that entire plot. So that her mother coming up in hushed conversation and her not wanting to talk about it makes you think, oh, what's going on with her mother? What is she sick with? Is it actually a sickness? Is it something else? It feels like there's something there to explore that we'll get to. So yeah, I mean, it's an ongoing story. I'm enjoying where this is happening, and I appreciate that Batman immediately is like, okay, I have to investigate what the hell they gave me, because as we even said, that none of this is free. This has to be coming from somewhere. We have to make sure it's morally okay. So it's not like he's just saying, oh, I feel much fitter than I did, than I have in the last decade. I'm just going to accept this and move on. He's immediately saying, no, we have to understand what this is and if it should be something we pursue. So
and why? It's not just, if you give this all to the billionaires and they all live forever, they seemingly only need an X amount of dosages, right? So what also is part of their game in all of this? Is this part of some larger plot for something? So I do again, it's called Detective Comics, and there's all these threads coming out of here. So that's some pretty fine storytelling.
Yeah. I bet it's not like a set. I mean, I bet after another decade, it's like, oh, you have to go and get another round kind of thing. The idea that you have to keep stealing the youth of someone every so often to top up.
Well, and that matches what the narrative Tom Taylor likes to tell, where no one gets rich easily, right? That was the whole thing in his Suicide Squad, through his John Kent Superman. There's very much a pointed thread through this, and I feel like there's that thread still here. Someone's getting exploited, and here it's these kids from the juvenile detention facility.
Yeah, I mean, it goes beyond exploit. I mean, when it's murder, it's just kind of murder at that point. But it's all for resources of some kind. So, yeah, obviously the art's very good from Janín. It's the Batman and Robin stuff is mostly early on when they're training or fighting the guys from the firm. Once it gets into the date stuff, it's all Janín flexing his normal acting muscles, where he's got the flirtatious looks between them, the awkward moments when something comes up she doesn't want to talk about, all that stuff.
This is the most like Dick Grayson I've seen Bruce, and I don't mean that in looks, but just the kind of attitude, because he's kind of playing the affable playboy. Because there's that whole exchange between him and Scarlet about her being like, oh, what, do you own this place? He goes, why? Just because I take you here, I have to own it. Right. And then as they're leaving, there's this revelation that Bruce is like, oh, no, because I do own this place. And he has this sly smile on his face. And I just always, that kind of look.
It's because she asks, are you not going to pay for the bill? And he's like, no, I own this place. Right. That's why it comes up.
Yeah. And so, but there's a smile on Bruce's face that I more associate with how Janín draws Dick, right? From him drawing him in so many other books. So I do like that kind of crossover.
Yeah. And even just when Damien and Babs are having a bit of fun at Bruce's expense, like that's all in the faces, it's all in the expressions. Like obviously, yeah, the colors are great and the way it has these different scenes with the different things. I think Scarlet, because of her hair color, does always stick out. She always she's like a beacon on the page for every single panel she's in, because her hair is just such a unnatural color that you don't see in most of the unless you've got a superhero that happens to be dressed in like a purpley pink color around, which there isn't. Well, I mean, the Huntress I suppose could show up and maybe stand next to her, but like for the most part, that's not around. So she tends to stick out, and the beauty is that happens even in really normal scenes when she's just standing in her bathrobe, or never mind when she's out in a dating fancy society. That said, though, her car does seem to be the same color as her hair, which I thought was funny.
She has a vibe.
It's like Power Rangers rules. She has to keep her keep her color scheme going. All right, that's Detective Comics. What you giving it back?
I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I think an 8's fair. I wouldn't go above the 8 just because it is a middle issue where there's not a lot of exciting stuff, but there's some solid character set up for the key mystery. I guess my only hope is that whatever the revelations are with what Scarlet's up to, is that it's somehow interesting. Because I don't think that her just being the killer or not being the killer is interesting in its own right. I think there needs to be like another something. And I don't know what that is. But that's for Tom Taylor to figure out.